News.
It's a goal!
Which goal? By who? How? When?
It's not the same match we're watching.
Oh! It's a goal! I just saw the goal now. This my so-called live broadcast. They delay me that too.
Now, don't worry. Let's switch to video call so I can live stream the match for you here from Russia.
Video call? With all these expensive roaming rates?
Not to worry. Data is so cheap with MTN Russia roaming offer.
With the Russia roaming offer, you can get 1.5 gigabyte roaming data for just 2,000 naira. Dial *131*5*4# to activate. Offer valid for 30 days. You can also make calls for 100 naira per minute. Available on Tele2 Russia only.
Wow. See how clear it is. I definitely hear that when when they're your side. Okay. Zoom in for that free kick. It's a goal!
All the news and information making the headlines.
This is the front page news on Classic FM 97.3.
It seems the Russian court can't dull the Nigerian spirit on this fine day. This is going to be a wonderful game.
In the course of a football match, you'll make a new best friend.
Guy!
Have your first argument with him.
Guy, look at yourself. You not see him now.
Share your first drink.
One for the goal.
Scream at each other.
They tell you this one now.
Have a victory hug. And most definitely find new nicknames for yourself. Because this is Naija, where football lives.
You're tuned in to the front page news on Classic FM 97.3.
Good morning to you once again. It's front page news and analysis on Classic FM 97.3. And we say Eid Mubarak to our Muslim brothers and sisters. Remember, you can send your text messages to 33973. Also tweet at Classic FM 973 with the hashtag FPN. Post it on our Facebook page as well, facebook.com/Classic FM 97.3. My name is Bukola. Good morning, Jimi.
Morning. There was jubilation in my neighborhood late last night. And I wondered what it was. I thought maybe it was even the Russian match. But apparently it was all the beer parlor and the mama puts in the area. When the Sultan said that today was Eid, that means business will now start again for them. Happy Eid Fitri to our listeners.
Okay, we're starting with the nation here. It says, Buhari, stop corrupt leaders. Sultan declares today Eid al-Fitri, and importers with Chinese yen invoices to pay less. Shekau's mom, I've not seen him for 15 years. Nigerian Tribune says, no going back on convention. Over 6,000 delegates expected, says APC. Eid al-Fitri, security tightened at prayer grounds as nation celebrates. From the Vanguard, Saraki Kwakunso, Goje Tambuwal ran into storm. Buhari to Nigerians, stop glorifying thieves, treat them with disdain. That is from the Punch. And we also have goals galore as World Cup begins. Russia sued Saudi Arabia 5-0. Will top Group D. Musa Amade Fashola to cheer Eagles at against Croatia. I beg your pardon. And we start with this. Buhari to Nigerians, stop glorifying thieves, treat them with disdain. President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday urged Nigerians to stop glorifying thieves but should treat them with disdain for bringing hardships on others.
Well, that's very nice advice coming from the president. But I think the government itself should set the first example. You find the top government functionaries fraternizing with people on trial, fraternizing with people who, they've not been declared guilty by law, but, it's common knowledge that they've extended their fingers into the cookie jar. Now, when you don't glorify people, it doesn't mean, you don't need to name or shame them, just avoid them. And the government is not doing that. The government is fraternizing with some people of, the best way to put it, questionable character. But I know what Buhari is trying to say. And I think all of us should know that. We don't. We glorify thieves. We know that. We take selfies. We hail them. We do all kinds of things. When we make a concerted decision to collectively, keep people of questionable character at arm's length, like it happened back in the day, maybe we'll make some progress.
And people questioned your wealth back in the day as well.
Yes, all we glorify today is money, money, money. There's nothing like honor. Anytime there's an honors list coming up, it's only the richest that you find there, and then they put a token of one driver who found 15,000 naira in the car and returned it to the police. Then you have a token, one or two, but the rest would just be money, money, money.
Back in the day, there used to be Omotani Kini Babenshe. What does the father do? What's his father's profession? It's
been thrown completely out of the window. I've forgotten who said that behind every wealth there is a crime. We boast a lot of billionaires, for example, in Nigeria, but all of us have heard rumors that are very, very strong about how most of them made their money, yet we still glorify them. So the president has raised an issue that should be expanded. And I'm wondering whether it's not time again for us to have some kind of department like MAMSA back in the day to start instilling these values. But the government should set the first example. That is what is crucial. The government needs to set, and I'm hoping that if Buhari gets a second term, because if he gets a second term, he will no longer be beholden to anybody. He'll be able to put us on the right track for another 4 years. It is a pity that for those of us who are old enough at the time when Buhari was in government, that his government at that time was truncated, the Buhari Diabo government. Had we had it for a 4-5 year stretch, I'm sure this country would have been a completely different place. But it was truncated, and those who, at least one of those who financed, an apology has been made on his behalf. We thank God for where we are. 2019 again comes, gives us an opportunity to see one more time if we can get it right. But I'm getting personally frustrated that it's very unlikely that I will see a new kind of Nigeria before I take the last flights.
You're not hopeful?
I'm not hopeful.
Anything can happen.
Things don't happen like that. It's a process. And the process that we are taking, what we are pursuing, what's out there in public domain, what is out there in public domain.
It's not a step in the right direction.
I'm sorry to repeat this, but I sound like a broken record. I'm sorry to repeat it, but I'll never get tired of repeating it until it is rectified. As so-called elite, government funds is given to them to drink beer, to enjoy themselves at the expense of the masses. Yesterday, I went to Government College, Eric Moore. If you drive past that place, have a look. I was almost in tears, completely desolate, completely run down. And yet our elites, all the elite clubs that has billionaires, take money from government to expand the enjoyment. This is what we are talking about. Buhari also needs to talk to his own people. This is part of what we're talking about. And we've been shouting this for close to roughly about 3-4 months. We've been shouting about this. None of the clubs have thought it fit to return the money. None of them have thought it fit. And these are the people who are leading us as a country. What kind of example would that be? Money that should be put to use for hospitals, for schools, is given to elite clubs to go drink beer and guzzle brandy and so on and so forth. And we sit back and do nothing. As if, we just sit back and do nothing. So, Buhari, has made this point. We are ready to imbibe it, but we want them to set the first example.
51 families of dead officers get 29 million naira. Police authorities yesterday presented checks totaling 29 million naira to 51 families of police officers who lost their lives while serving the country. Beneficiaries are from Federal Capital Territory and Niger and Kaduna states.
Thank you. This morning when we got to the studio, when Kachi Notary of our news department read this story, I had initially, when I dismissed it, I saw police, I said, okay, that's fine. Until I don't know who raised the issue to say that, look, what you have here is 51 families, and let me read the story again, presented checks totaling 29,836,000 and so on and so forth. And I said, what are we celebrating? You're telling me that a man who put his life on the line, a dead policeman, In grandeur, you are presenting him a check of a little over $500,000. If you divide 29 by 51, it comes to 568,000. Is that the value of a dead policeman? That's what you are presenting to families.
Too little.
You put a man, you need to go take a look at the police barracks and see how the policemen live even when they are alive.
Don't they have some sort of insurance for this policeman?
Maybe, I don't know what this money, whatever it is. Let's even assume that the insurance has been paid and whatever, everything has been, his gratuity has been paid, and this is like, okay. But from what I see as a total here, I suspect it's their gratuities. But for argument's sake, let us even say this is a token from the police force to their families to compensate them. Are you telling me that the life of a policeman is worth just 568,000? A man who you put whilst you are sleeping in comfort in your house is the one going through the nooks and crannies looking for umbrella. No wonder you keep having stories about SARS and so on and so forth. There is no policeman that will be happy to read this. That his life is just worth 568,000, to a nation called Nigeria. We need to do a rethink about how how the regard that we have for human lives, especially those who we give very, very sensitive jobs like the police. It's a very, very sensitive job. If you get close to some policemen and they tell you what they've gone through in life, you're forever looking behind your shoulder. You don't know whether one criminal that you caught that was jailed 10 years ago is now out roaming the streets looking for you. You go out in the dark, sometimes not well equipped, because every time I look at a Nigerian policeman, I just feel so ashamed. Looking tattered, battered, looking terrible. Some with rubber slippers, no button on the uniform. You can see that this man has not been well equipped. You can't say the same thing for the other armed forces, though. If you see a naval officer, if you see an army officer, an air force, looking neat, tidy, you live on. But look at the policemen that you see. I went for a function in their barracks in Obalende, just the one by Falomo here. It was a sorry sight. The inside of the barracks had been turned into a market. They were selling cow legs, selling pepper, selling all kinds of orishi were being sold in the barracks itself. The barracks itself had been turned into a market. No windows, no water, nothing. So there's a need for us to reorganize our thinking top to bottom. Maybe that's why some of them lose their temper easily when you put a gun in their hand. Maybe they feel neglected by society and completely unappreciated. And people's attitude to the police. In Nigeria, people don't like, they say the police is your friend. Well, you see police when they come, because they've been stigmatized.
Have they been, but at the same time, we need to. How have they been stigmatized? I want to understand, because it's the experience people have had with the police that will bring about the stigma.
Yes, that is it.
But there are times you find yourself. I understand the case you are making for them. They are not well treated, but at the same time, you don't fight the people. It's not the people that are not treating you well. When you've lost,
you see, the problem we have here is that we only think about mental illness when a person practically runs mad. There are some things that form your character in the process of doing your job, and in the atmosphere in which you work. You understand what I'm saying? All these things mold your character.
But you still find some of them who are quite cordial and helpful.
There are always exceptions to the rule.
So, we need to balance it out. I get you. I understand what you're saying.
The honest to God truth is that we don't treat our policemen well. We do not treat them well. And they, in return, do not treat us well.
That is
what Fela used to call question jam answer.
So we need to find a way to solve this problem. We'll take a break on Front Page News and Analysis. We'll be right back.
It's a goal!
Which goal? By who? How? When?
It's not the same match we're watching.
Oh! It's a goal! I just saw the goal now. This my so-called live broadcast. They delay me that too.
Now, don't worry. Let's switch to video call so I can live stream the match for you here from Russia.
Video call? With all these expensive roaming rates?
Not to worry. Data is so cheap with MTN Russia roaming offer.
With a Russia roaming offer, you can get 1.5 gigabyte roaming data for just 2,000 naira. Dial *131*5*4# to activate. Offer valid for 30 days. You can also make calls for 100 naira per minute. Available on Tele2 Russia only.
Wow. See how clear it is. I definitely hear that Oyibo when they're your side. Okay. Zoom in for that free kick. It's a goal!
You're tuned in to the Front Page News on Classic FM 97.3.
Still front page news and analysis on Classic FM 97.3. Kole Adenora says here the media is culpable in the fraternization of these corrupt people. They have eaten dodo. That is why they can't say idodo. No wonder somebody that should know is calling a particular tribe sophisticated morons, yet he's not fired. And Anthony Ogunugafa says, unfortunately, a religious leader will not heed PMB's advice because such thieves are vital to their revenue generation drive. 3.5 man. A dead policeman gets to get peanut while the House of Reps leader buys a G-Wagon worth millions for his wife. This life, Shah. Shegun Adebwega says, APC is not just glorifying thieves, but modifying corrupt thieves in their house. Police is more corrupt in this regime. Abbas Oladipo says there's no good plan for public servants on essential duties. That is why most of them don't want to give their best to the country. After all, the politicians will take all the money and still rob it in the face of the unlucky public servant. Akiade wrote to me, hi Jimi, we collectively put our efforts to be better. When Buhari and Idiagbon came to power in 1984, it was war against indiscipline. I don't get the end part of that. Also, Paul says, they hurriedly put 29 million naira in the newspaper headline and didn't tell us what each of them got. For God's sake, a little above 500k for the life of a police officer is nothing to write home about. That is why they take their destiny into their hands by constantly taking bribes.
Let me quickly say that it was for argument purposes that we said this is what it would amount to each of them. If they are different ranks, they'll be getting different amounts, really. So some might even be getting less than this figure that we, this 568, and see what we are celebrating. See what we are celebrating. Compare that to what your senator of House of Reps member gets.
Why should they even get that much? What are they doing? They're always going on breaks.
Let's go on.
We should visit their matter.
Just leave that. you know, Buki, you know what frustrates us here? How many issues are you going to be talking about on a daily basis? The part that bothers me the most is absolutely nothing. There's a conspiracy of silence amongst everybody. And when I remember back in the day when students were the conscience of the nation, not the students that you have now. At some point I'm almost ready to just give up and say, well, this is how this country is going to be. There's a conspiracy of silence. You do all what you have to do and everybody keeps quiet and moves on.
Okay, and I was trying to remind us here, has everybody gone to sleep about this one? He says, what's the latest on Lagos State land use charge? Because the bill we just received still shows penalty for late payment and over 300% increase. I thought things were being reviewed after our complaints.
It's part of what we are talking about.
We'll go to bed easily.
Because the bills are still coming. The bills are still coming, and it comes with a letter from the governor thanking you for paying and so on and so forth. So people are still getting bills. And I think the attitude is, for as long as there are some people who are ready to pay without asking questions, they'll just do it on the quiet. Because I don't know why it's taking this long to resolve. The House of Assembly said they were going to take a second look at it and come out with another one. That hasn't happened.
There are a lot of things we just sweep under the carpet. We never get things to logical conclusion.
Yes,
it's true.
Yes,
it's a bad character we have. Razak Oladapo says, morning, Jimmy. Unfortunately, this is where we have found ourselves. If the police are so badly treated, the effects trickle down to the ordinary man. Security is the most expensive commodity in Nigeria today. No policeman would risk his life under any circumstance. It's that bad. We'll take this next editorial. Wale Aboderi. Circumstances compelled him to imagine his life and trajectory. He did it and worked, perhaps beyond his imagination. When asked whether he regretted taking up the family business, he said, the only regret is that it has kept me from being what I wanted to be and doing those things I really love to do. I would have been a pilot, musician, an actor, or anything in the arts which I really love doing and have a flair for. But my number one ambition was to be a pilot because I really love to fly. After his education in Government College, Ibadan, he had trained as a pilot at Burnside Flying School, Florida, United States. Everybody has glowing tributes for this gentleman.
Yes. Well, if you've read part of it, Wale is going to be buried today, and unfortunately, because of our job, we can't be there. We wish him a safe passage to the afterlife, and may God bless his soul. Just another paragraph to read here. It says that he demonstrated philanthropic pro-civilities that preached a sermon reflecting his humanitarian side. He was a founding member of the Board of Trustees of the World of Life Rehabilitation Center devoted to the rehabilitation of drug users. When asked whether he had a message for Nigerians, Abodani said, "All we do is grumble, forgetting that if everybody takes one step forward, count the number of steps, we would have ended up going around the world and doing good."
That is something to take away.
Yes.
Something to take away. And Fumi Savage says here, conspiracy of silence is because all those elders are still being settled silently, individually, and collectively.
Well, what about those who are not the elders? Why don't you, it's just that you can't say certain things on air. I remember when the story, for example, of this donation broke. In our days in universities, we would have known what to do. But, sorry. It's
the students are also endorsing. Back in the day, the students didn't endorse. They just watch and see what is happening. So
poverty is worse than cancer. I tell you, poverty of the mind is worse than cancer. It can completely ruin a nation or a society. Completely. I saw a clip of some university students and the governor, and I just shook my head. I was almost in tears, and then took my mind off it. Let's move on to the next story.
All right, the next story says UK considers relaxing visa rule for Nigerian doctors, nurses. We don't even have enough. The United Kingdom is set to exclude medical staff from the government's visa cap, according to Saffron Quadri, Deputy Chief Executive of NHS Providers.
Yeah, it's a quick message here for those who are doctors and nurses, for you to know that the NHS in the UK has vacancies for 35,000 nurses and 10,000 doctors. They have vacancies for them, and there are loads of Nigerians who are doing very well. So this is just to, if you can find your way around it, you might want to. This is not to encourage the drift, but at least to make a better life for one or two people. Because I don't know where we are headed.
So what's going to happen to us here? Because this is it's brain drain about to happen here. It's been happening over time.
So be it. If
we're
you don't
taking
treat,
the best.
If as a society you're not ready to treat your professionals right, and other people will do so. So be it. You pay for it. I keep saying that. I look at the doctor's quarters. The one we saw is almost 3 quarters empty, and I keep wondering. For 2 years, this place has been completed. How has it been so difficult to fill it up with doctors? You don't treat your professionals well. That's what you get. Look at how you treat you think if there was an opportunity for Nigerian police, why do Nigerian policemen always excel when they go and work abroad? They usually come first or second. When they go on peacekeeping missions and whatever, Nigerian police, why how come they excel there and they don't excel here? If I'm ready to take the punishment. If you're not ready to do the right thing, so be it. So there are 35,000 nurse vacancies and 10,000 doctors. If you have the opportunity, bingo.
Eze Victor says, agree the police should be well treated and remunerated, but virtually the rest of us face the same treatment from the system that pays a man 18,000 and he pays NEPA bill of 20,000. If everyone decides to run amok by virtue of what we face, how will order be maintained?
That is all well and good. Fantastic argument. But remember that this person that we are talking about, you put a gun in his hand. I won't say more than that. This ill-trained person that you're not even treating well. First of all, you haven't trained him well. You're not treating him well. And he has a gun in his hand. And the way some of them shoot in the air sometimes, I wonder if they actually account for the bullets.
Jimi, thank you, sir, for speaking out for the police. That money you heard paid to slain policemen is for men who died 7 to 10 years ago.
You're kidding. It can't be.
Okay, this one says, imagine the police guard the politicians. They got more while the police are paid less. What an irony.
And it is the policeman that will carry the Ghana must go back upstairs. Because he will be the, what do they call him? He will be the, is it escort they call it? Or, the what? Yes. The escort. You see? Philip, he knows what they call it.
Alexis says, I can tell you categorically that when a police officer, that is a sergeant, dies in the line of duty, the insurance company pays him 150,000 naira. And an AIG, yes, gets as much as 450,000 naira only. This needs to be reviewed.
That must be a policeman talking.
It needs to be reviewed.
Then how come, if you notice the policemen who are assigned to, say, like maybe oil companies and so on and so forth, they're a different breed entirely. Because the oil companies go the full length. In fact, when you see them, if you've been to any of the oil companies, they go the full length.
So, aren't this sort of laws that should be brought on the floor of the Senate, the House? These are things we should be tackling. How many times have this been brought up?
Nigeria is not a question of law, it's a question of attitude. It's a question of attitude. A sitting senator says they take home 31 million. What has anybody done?
We should scrap constituency projects. Of what uses constituency projects is crippling it's crippling the people. It's not doing them any good. All these
announcements, what has anybody done? The labor unions, who are still on a minimum wage of 18,000, they're playing table tennis with the government. They've been talking about negotiating minimum wage now for almost up to about 2.5 to 3 years.
Constituency projects are petty projects. You have to look for how to make life better for the people. Things in the long run, not the short run. Those should be scrapped.
It is beyond constituency projects.
I know. I'm just talking about little things that little drops of water that can make a mighty ocean.
That the general attitude, constituency projects is a very minuscule. Constituency projects in another realm. Constituency projects actually means that there is something that maybe your constituency needs a new school, or they need a new hospital.
Not kekena pep.
No.
Not grinding machines. That is what I'm saying. Okay. We'll take
all right.
We'll take this for our brothers and sisters.
I'm not going to apologize. Every man for himself and God for us all. And there's an editorial in the Vanguard today, and I think all Muslims should actually read this, but I'll just read one paragraph there because we're really short of time. It says, as we bid Ramadan farewell, the celebration of Eid al-Fitr should mark a new beginning for us with a resolve to shun all evil acts and adopt various positive behavior required to lift the nation high. If we do this, our quest for social, religious, and political integration will be easily achieved. That should set our mind thinking, and I think we're good to go.
Yeah, yes, you are.
I'm going to be fed this morning, so I want to make the best out of
it. Okay, let's just quickly take this last one. No. Don't bother. Let's not bother. We'll move on. Okay, then.
Hey, come and feed me.
Sports Express is right after.
It seems the Russian coal can't dull the Nigerian spirit.